Hey everyone, it's Lulasai. I am here with a review for Star Wars Episode 2 Attack of the Clones. This came out in 2002 and is directed yet again by George Lucas. And there's a lot to like about it. I'm reformed on this movie. I used to be a hater, but now that I've seen it over 25 times, I mean, if I went back to it to see it that many times, surely there's something to like about it, right? So I do feel like I'm no longer a hater of this movie. I used to be, though. Um, so yeah, Attack of the Clones. Plot is that, well, I mean, there's a lot. Some people consider this the true beginning because they like write off the Phantom Menace for not being integral enough or like important enough to see. I don't subscribe to that at all. I think you should watch the Phantom Menace, but yes, this is really where the most major events begin. So, Anakin Skywalker is grown up now, and he is tasked with protecting the former queen, now turned Senator Amidala Padme, and because a bounty hunter who is unknown to them currently is tried to assassinate her. And so the two of them, Padme and Anakin, go to Naboo to seek safety, but they end up having to talk about their feelings for each other, which is pretty awkward. We'll talk about that more later. And then meanwhile, we have Obi-Wan, who is trying to discover the identity of whoever wants Padme dead. So he's led to the planet of Kamino. I won't spoil. I'm gonna really try and do this channel without spoilers, so I'm not even gonna tell you about Kamino. Again, we'll talk about it more later. So he gets led to a mysterious planet that does not appear on the Jedi Archives, in the Jedi Archives, called Kamino. And then also we have the new villain, Count Dooku, who is basically like a little bit of a politician, half Sith. Well, no, he's full Sith, but yeah, he is plotting to start a war against the Galactic Republic with the help of various factions. So there's a lot going on, and there's more than that, but that's the gist of it. So yeah, let's talk about the positives. So unique positives. I'm not going to repeat stuff I've already said about other Star Wars movies. So there is several great sequences that are not in my favorite planets, which I'll talk about in a second here. Actually, I'll just do the planets first. So I love the newly introduced planets here, Kamino and Geonosis. These are some of my favorite planets in the entire universe, and really the best parts of the movie take place on these in these locations. But other than everything on those, I love everything about those two locations. But other than those two locations, you have a lot more great scenes than just that. You have the opening chase, which I like, especially at the bar in particular. I think the bar is a great scene. It's one of the few sets that is realistic as well, instead of like blue and green screens. And you also have the amazing scene where Anakin is searching for his mother and Duel of the Fates, or maybe it's Battle of the Heroes, I forget. I feel like, I don't think it's the exact same as the original Duel of the Fates, but a similar or interpolated version of Duel of the Fates plays during the scene, and it is just completely awesome. Maybe it is just the original Duel of the Fates, but regardless. Yeah, goosebumps every time I watch that scene. Amazing. And there's also the Jango Fett deploying the seismic charges from the Slave One. That is a crazy good scene as well. I love that entire sequence. And I think the seismic charge, like detonation sound effect, is the single best sound effect in all of Star Wars as well. So yeah, a lot to like about this one. Count Dooku is another excellent villain. So up to this point, eventually this won't be the case, but up to this point, it has been nothing but banger antagonists. Vader, Palpatine, Darth Maul, and now we have Count Dooku. It just, it keeps getting better. Well, you know what I mean. Vader's the number one in my opinion, but still, the quality level is not dropping in this regard. So that's good. Complete opposite of something like the Marvel Cinematic Universe, where it's a dime a dozen if you ever get a good villain. Yeah, and overall, so for me personally, I am going to give this the same rating that I gave to The Phantom Menace, but I do slightly prefer this one. It wasn't always like that. I used to be a bit of a hater of this one, but I have changed my mind overall the countless times I've seen this. The reason I prefer this one ever so slightly is because I just find the pacing is better and the adventure is also better, as in like the storyline, as in what's happening. Because in The Phantom Menace, it is often wasting your time. It really is. Like, yes, I like watching the pod race, but a huge chunk of that movie is dedicated to a simple problem that could be fixed a lot easier, but Qui-Gon is just trying to use his own Jedi, personalized Jedi moral code to do the right thing in his brain, despite the fact that a planet is actively being invaded and there's presumably casualties happening. So, I mean, there's a lot of time wasting in Phantom Menace, and there's basically no real time wasting here. So I do find this one just to be paced and better, the storyboard to be overall better. But I think there is some unique issues that are definitely going to be canceling itself out. So, negative number one, this movie does not learn from the past. The only course correction it does is the correct and smart decision to basically plummet Jar Jar's screen time. So thank God for that. But other than that, it is basically the same logic and style as The Phantom Menace, which was highly flawed to begin with. So really they didn't learn any lessons from that other than Jar Jar. It's just more of the same flawed experience. Yeah. Another negative is, so even though Anakin is my personal number one favorite character in all of Star Wars, he is pretty insufferable in this film specifically. The reason I like the character so much is because of the Clone Wars animated TV series, and also Revenge of the Sith. I think he's a way better, like much improved there. But here, Attack of the Clones version of Anakin is extremely annoying, borderline creepy. He constantly ignores Padme's professional boundaries that she's trying to establish, and it's just painful to watch. The characters in this do not speak like humans do. So if you go into this film assuming that nobody's going to act like a real person, the movie does become better, and it becomes more enjoyable if you keep that in mind. Yeah, it's just so melodramatic that like you literally can't take any of it seriously because everyone is just like speaking like a poet. And yeah, this is not how people interact with each other. So yeah, it's just painful to hear his lines most of the time, a lot of the time. And Padme, she's not innocent either. So Padme, I hate the entire scene by the fireplace. I mean, it's just so corny. Like, she's trying to push him away, but then is like wearing the most provocative outfits. Like, if you compare these to like the Leia outfits, it is not even close. Like, Leia's way more conservative, and yeah, I mean, I'm not trying to be one of those guys that's telling women how to dress. I'm just saying that like if you're trying to get this horny young man off your back so you can, focus on the mission at hand, probably shouldn't put on the black corset and sit by the fire. Like, I don't know. It's just it's hilarious. This movie is entirely hilarious. That's part of its charm sometimes too, but I don't find these scenes charming, the fireplace scene. And I guess Leia, by the way, Leia technically has a more risque outfit with the slave outfit, but I mean, she didn't choose to put that on, so. I've always wondered, how do they convince her to get into that? The things we're not supposed to ask. Anyways, but it gets worse. So Padme, there's one specific scene that literally, like, it makes me visually cringe. Okay, and Phantom Menace never did this. So Phantom Menace, yes, Jar Jar's annoying. Yes, he's destroying scenes left and right. Yes, he's taking away from any stakes or impact because you can't take anything seriously anymore. But he never made me cringe so bad that it was like I could physically feel it. But here I do, and it happens every time, even when I see it coming. So if you've seen this movie, you know which scene I'm talking about, right? It's a line from Padme. When Padme says, "I truly, deeply love you." It's so painful. I want to just, man, I don't know. It's literally, this movie is so space opera-y, which is what it's supposed to be, but it's just taken it so far that it becomes a bit of a parody of itself. Yeah, Anything else? I mean, there's a lot of like nitpicks I can make, but they just don't really matter that much to talk about. Like there's some logic things there was when you watch a movie 25 or 30 times, you start to pick up on every single little inconsistency, and I purposely did not bring those up during any of the other Star Wars movies because I mean, not only are you not going to notice this stuff on the first watch, but it doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things. So I'm not even going to go over those. I just wanted to talk about what the big issues for me were. So yeah, I think I basically covered the important stuff, and you can nitpick other stuff like, maybe the factory, Geonosis factory scene, maybe it could have been done better, a little less jokey. C-3PO kind of gets on my nerves in this film a bit, whereas he doesn't really bother me in any of the other ones. So there's just little things, but I've talked about the main ones, I think. So we're going to give... Oh yeah, and I also wish Count Dooku would have appeared a bit sooner on screen than he does. Unfortunately, he only makes his appearance towards the end. And also, actually, I should mention that the lightsaber duel at the end pales in comparison to the lightsaber duel in The Phantom Menace. It's not even close. So that's why we're kind of balancing out at the same rating that I gave, or same score I gave The Phantom Menace. So yeah, I'm going to give Attack of the Clones, Star Wars Episode 2, Attack of the Clones, a 5 out of 10 and a thumbs up. If you asked me, 5 years ago if I liked this movie, I would tell you, nope, it is cringe and painful to sit through. But now, seeing it so many times, and I've matured and whatnot, I've started to appreciate it. It's like a guilty pleasure, but not actually guilty because there's a lot to like about it. The universe building is obviously crazy good, and it's still Star Wars, man. You still gotta like it. So anyways, well, that being said, there is some Star Wars that I'm not going to be a fan of, and we will be getting to those eventually. So thank you so much for watching. This is George Lucas Star Wars, is what I should have said. Thank you so much for watching this review, and I'll see you next time.